Hello everyone and welcome back to Void Dwarf Studios. I'm feeling a little under the weather at the moment, but luckily I'm having masterful help from Tanya, who's helping me to set all this up and just generally do some recording, because I really didn't want you guys to miss out on the content. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at the Tau Fire Warrior, the frontline battle-hardened troops of the Tau expansions, and whilst slightly better treated than the Imperial Guard, these guys and gals have a very rough job ahead of them. Now, as previously mentioned, the Tau Fire Warriors are all from the Fire caste, the Tau who are particularly tough, strong, aggressive, and, well, more prone to actually being decent in any kind of violent situation, as opposed to the rest of the Tau who, well, let's just say, on the whole, they tend to be not very good in a straight-up fight. The Tau Fire Warrior follow what is known as the Code of Fire, as well as being strict followers of the whole greater good shtick that all the Tau follow. What this essentially means is you have extremely motivated warriors with an honor code, as well as being incredibly aggressive in pursuing those aims. On more than one occasion, Fire Warriors have to be told to fall back rather than push forward and, well, shoot the bejesus out of things because they feel that they are on the cusp of victory. Not to say that they aren't disciplined troops, they are some of the best trained troops the Tau have, but the Fire Warriors are there to have a relatively stable gun line. They're not really meant to get close to the enemy, and quite frankly, the Fire Warrior, when he gets too close to the enemy, is in for some serious trouble, for whilst the Tau can, and I say this with the greatest respect, can fight in close combat, they're really very bad at it. This is partly because of natural biology. The Tau actually have really bad depth perception, so whilst they're great at looking at things from a distance, when it comes to close quarters combat they, well, go a little cross-eyed, you could say. But frankly, the Tau find close combat to be a very barbaric form of warfare. It's muddy, it's bloody, and it's just something the Tau don't like doing. They much prefer sending the Kroot, who they consider to be barbarians, into the thick of the fighting, rather than get themselves all bloodied. And really, I can't blame them too much, especially when you live in a galaxy where demons and super biologically enhanced space marines exist that can punch your skull clean off. And yeah, in those circumstances, I can understand why the Tau would rather not get into combat in any situation, and would much rather keep blasting away with their trusty pulse rifle. Tau technology, along with their weaponry, is some of the most advanced in the galaxy. This is mostly because the Tau are a very progressive race, and frankly for them, the pursuit of technological greatness never ends. Unlike the Eldar, who haven't really invented anything new since their god of death, and the Orcs, who cobble together things out of scrap metal, and the Imperium, who, whilst in recent days have started innovating, are very hesitant to do so, the Tau have always been incredibly inquisitive and more than ready to adopt and accept new technological advances. However, the standard issue Tau tends to be fitted out with a suit body armour. This is relatively good against most forms of weapons, and whilst it won't stop a bolt round to the head, it's more than sufficient to prevent most lasgun and small arms fire from, well, putting them out of commission, as well as having, a certain degree of protection against fragmentation grenades, as the Tau, unlike the Imperium, actually kind of care about their soldiers in that they'll give them really decent equipment, and they'd much rather do that than give them substandard tech, as the Tau have a very limited troop resource that they can call upon, and so every single soldier actually counts, unlike the Imperium who, well, literally can take the stance of, well, we lost 1 billion men, but there's trillions more elsewhere in the galaxy we can call on. The armour tends to consist of thigh, shoulder guards, chest guard, and a helmet along with van braces, all equipped with very advanced technology, including an infrared scanner, various different forms of tracking and short-range scanning equipment, and a handy pouch with various grenades on, typically speaking photon grenades, designed to disorientate and make the enemy feel really, really confused. The Pulse Carbine is their standard issue short-range weapon, which, while slower than the standard pulse rifle that most Tau tend to wield, it has a pretty decent kick to it that will make most things stop in their tracks. In addition to this, the Carbine has an underslung grenade launcher, meaning, fragmentation grenades, which is all kinds of fun. And on top of this, the pulse rifle, which the rest of the squad will tend to wield, is a very, very advanced weapon, capable of outshooting most lasguns, and whilst not quite having a superior range as the lasgun, is more than made up for it in its potential killing power. This isn't going to necessarily puncture through Space Marine power armor, but it's going to make it worry for a little while, and it's certainly going to be enough to cause serious trouble with enough pointed at a Space Marine. And finally, every Tau warrior is armed with what is known as a Tau bonding knife. This is rarely used in close combat events, but more used for ritualistic ceremonies before battle, the squad forming close bonds over time, and this ceremonial knife being used essentially to, well, scar one another. The Tau tend to be employed in one of three ways. Tau Fire Warriors either form what is commonly known as a strike team. This will be typically a group of Tau who are put inside of a fast-moving vehicle, who will then be chucked out, lay down lots of fire, and then dash back out as fast as they can. Breacher teams, which tend to be more close-range assaults, whilst not being in close combat, I mean close-range firefights, and these will typically be armed with pulse blasters and photon grenades, basically making sure that they can disorientate and really ruin someone's day. But of course there is the standard take them in fairly large squads and just keep throwing fire into the enemy until, well, they give up, frankly. And what Tau unit isn't equipped with some kind of drone? Be they gun drones, which, well, the clue's in the name. You can give them fairly heavy weapon options, and you can also take shield drones for that extra defense. Which means that Tau Fire Warriors are one of the best basic troops that you can get. They're not as tough as orcs, and they certainly aren't as hardy as Space Marines, but they will tend to outshoot most troops that come at them, and whilst you should never ever ever let them get into close combat, continuously walking backwards and shooting is still a very viable option. I hope that in some way helps you know a little bit more about the Tau Fire Warrior. Typically speaking, it is always Tau in the Fire Warrior casts. However, there have been instances of Imperials who have changed over to the Tau Greater Good and joined the Fire Warrior cadres. They are almost never ever ever treated with the same level of respect, but they are given similar equipment and told to essentially do the same things that Tau Fire Warriors do. But more often than not, it's the Tau that you will see in this particular position. So, I hope you've all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for listening. Look forward to hearing from you all soon. Please like, follow and subscribe, and if you fancy any other content, please send a little message down below. Thank you all very much, and hope to hear from you soon. Take care everyone.